Hello, I'm Dr. Chandler. Welcome to your psychology video lecture over awake and asleep states of consciousness. What is consciousness? Consciousness is the awareness of one's internal physical self and mental sensations, as well as the external stimuli and events in one's environment. Selective attention or selective vigilance is another awake state. This is the act of focusing on a particular object while ignoring other stimuli inside oneself and outside oneself in the environment. Selective attention occurs on a daily basis because it is impossible to give attention to every stimulus in our environment. We use selective attention to select what stimuli are important as events occur. We attend and are vigilant on the basis of our previous experiences and current interests. Here are diagrams of the kinds of EEG waves that correspond with differing states of physiological arousal. Alert states correspond with busy beta waves. Relaxed, drowsy brain states correspond with alpha waves, and deep sleep and states of hypnosis and meditation correspond with the larger and slower delta waves. If you were attached to an electroencephalogram right now, we could see whether you are alert, drowsy, or deep asleep. Now, let's look a little more closely at states with delta waves. Many times, the dialogue that occurs when the daydreaming mind cycles through different parts of the brain accesses information that was dormant or out of reach. The daydreaming mind can make important associations. In this way, daydreaming allows us to be more creative, wise, and find solutions to our problems. It is estimated that we spend 1/3 to 1/2 of our waking hours daydreaming, although that amount can vary significantly from person to person. Daydreaming is a normal and beneficial cognitive function. Those who daydream more are often better prepared for life events, as daydreaming can be a kind of planning or rehearsing for potential events and outcomes. In contrast to what its name may suggest, daydreaming seems to be quite different from the dreams experienced during sleep. Another interesting fact about daydreaming is that the seemingly continual stream of consciousness is actually discontinuous, consisting of a sequence that follows each other in fractions of seconds. Those who daydream less are likely to be more impulsive, less likely to be able to delay gratification, and to achieve long-term goals. Another awake state with delta waves is hypnotism, a heightened state of suggestibility that can be helpful to control pain and to make healthy lifestyle choices. Hypnosis cannot allow one to be controlled by someone else, such as a slave to a master. Research indicates that hypnosis is not really a semi-sleep state, but rather a hyper-attentive and suggestive mental state that can be self-induced. Like daydreaming and hypnosis, meditation induces slower wave mental states that give a sense of calm, peace, and balance that enhances physical health and emotional well-being. During meditation, you focus your attention and eliminate the stream of jumbled thoughts that may be crowding your mind. In this way, meditation helps us to gain new perspectives, clears away information overload that builds up and contributes to stress, increases self-awareness, and focusing on the present while reducing negative emotions. Benefits of meditation continue after meditation, just as the benefits of physical exercise does. Meditation is a kind of self-hypnosis that can be practiced wherever you are. Whether you are out for a walk, waiting in line, or even in the middle of a difficult meeting. Subliminal messages are information the brain receives from the senses that are below conscious awareness. Priming is a kind of subliminal message that does have consequences. Other kinds of subliminal messages, such as those in Disney cartoons, do not. It would be nice to think that we could play a tape of a foreign language or math formula and wake up fluent in that language or math. However, our awareness of stimuli and practice are necessary for effects such as learning. Often referred to as the body clock, the circadian rhythm is a 24-hour cycle that tells our bodies when to sleep and regulates many other physiological processes. This internal body clock is affected by environmental cues like sunlight and temperature. This diagram shows how light enters through your retina, RET for net of neural fibers. The light stimulates the suprachiasmatic nucleus and then the reticular activation system, or reticular formation in the brainstem, another RET or net of neural fibers, responsible for arousal and awake-sleep cycles. You are assigned to complete a survey of your own circadian rhythm to determine if you are a morning lark or a night owl or something in between. This survey will inform you on your most productive times during most 24-hour periods. Preferences for sleep and wake times are strongly influenced by genetics and biology, and sometimes our biological inclinations don't match up with the demands and responsibilities of our lives. Research indicates that limiting nighttime exposure to artificial light and increasing exposure to daytime sunlight can shift sleep-wake cycles earlier, even for night owls. Improved habits such as limiting alcohol consumption close to bedtime, sticking to regular sleep and wake times, making sure your bedroom is dark and free of electronics can help your sleep schedule, even if it doesn't align perfectly with your natural tendencies. Here is a diagram showing the pattern of normal sleep. As light dims and our body temperature lowers, our parasympathetic nervous system is responding from signals in the brainstem to calm. Changing patterns of brainwave activity help define the various stages of sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and you can see on this diagram that REM sleep, when one's eyes flicker, is very near the awake state. This is why REM sleep is known as paradoxical sleep, because one's body is paralyzed, yet the brain looks as if it is awake. If someone is wakened during REM, they usually report a dream. We can see how the brain waves are elongated and more widely spaced as an individual proceeds from relaxed and drowsy through stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4 deep sleep, with the delta waves that are necessary for healthy functioning. Notice how we typically get our deep sleep early in our sleep, and as our sleep progresses through the night, we have less deep sleep and more dreaming states. We often wake in a dream state when we are at a lighter stage of sleep. In the first hour of the night, you go from drowsy to stage 1 sleep. This is where you feel a little jerk as you are falling into stage 2 sleep, then into stage 3, and finally stage 4, the first and longest period of deep sleep, at the end of the first hour of sleep. Then you cycle back up into lighter stage 3 sleep, then even lighter stage 2 sleep, and into the first REM stage and dream of the night as you enter the second hour of sleep for the night. Then you cycle back down into stage 2, down further to stage 3, and into the second and final stage 4 of deep sleep for the night. Cycling back up to a lighter stage 3, even lighter stage 2, and into the second and longer REM dream of the night. And you have now been asleep approximately 4 hours when you begin to cycle back down to stage 2, then the final stage 3 of the night. Thereafter, you are more likely to be awakened by environmental stimuli as your sleep cycles from stage 1 to stage 2 and back to even longer REM dream states until we are awakened, often just before a dream. A lucid dream is being aware of a dream while dreaming. Techniques to become aware of a dream while dreaming to control or at least influence dreams have been shown to work in sleep experiments. We can strategize to dream about a particular subject, solve a problem, or end a recurring nightmare. Lucid dreams are infrequent, less than 1% of dreams in most studies, but they do crop up in any large collection of people's dreams. How can you increase your chances of having a lucid dream? By reminding yourself you want to, just as you're falling asleep. Tonight when I dream, I want to realize I'm dreaming. That's the single most important thing, other than getting enough sleep. When sleep deprived, we get a lower portion of REM because REM increases through the night. So if you're only sleeping the first part of a normal 8 hours of sleep, you're getting very little of the REM sleep you could. If you check on whether you're actually awake in a systematic way during the day, such as looking at print to see if you are awake, if you are asleep, the print will be blurry. You'll eventually find yourself doing this in a dream, and that can make it likelier that you will have lucid dreams. There are many theories of dreaming that include the activation synthesis hypothesis that the brain produces random electrical energy during REM sleep that stimulates memories lodged in various parts of the brain. Some do not believe that activation synthesis is random and posit that dreams may start as random processes, but that dreams culminate into something meaningful, such as the fears and concerns of the dreamer. Cognitive theories include the problem-solving dream model. Because dreams are not constrained by reality, they help us to find creative solutions to problems and concerns. Another cognitive theory is known as housekeeping because it posits that during sleep our brain is working to consolidate memories of the day and to complete tasks that cannot be done safely while awake and active. Finally, Freud's unconscious wish fulfillment theory states that the gratification of unconscious desires and needs occurs during our dreams. Most of us sleep between 8 and 9 hours per night, but this amount varies a great deal. As you can see from this graph, approximately a quarter of the population sleeps 7 or fewer hours, and another quarter of the population sleeps 10 or more hours. This list of causes of sleep deprivation is not in any particular order. Causes of sleep deprivation include having children, shift work, sleep disorders, and people wanting to stay awake, as well as worry, anxiety, stress, and depression. Drug usage can impair sleep, whether prescription or non-prescription drugs. Non-prescription drugs include over-the-counter drugs as well as illegal drugs. Almost 75% of American adults feel that they have some type of sleep problem, according to the National Sleep Foundation. Sleep disorders include insomnia, a chronic difficulty in falling asleep or staying asleep. Insomnia is the most commonly reported sleep disorder. Narcolepsy and cataplexy are similar, but not the same, and involve extreme daytime sleepiness and sudden uncontrollable sleep attacks that last from less than a minute to an hour. Sleep apnea occurs when breathing is repeatedly stopped and restarted during sleep. Today it is not uncommon for sleep apnea sufferers to use a CPAP breathing machine that affords unbroken breathing while sleeping throughout the night. REM sleep behavior disorder is the absence of the loss of muscle tone that causes normal REM paralysis. Sleepwalking or somnambulism typically occurs during the stage 3 and stage 4 periods of slower wave sleep when one should not normally be dreaming. Somnambulance or sleepwalking is more common in boys who may grow out of this as their brain matures in adulthood. Nightmares and night terrors are both frightening dreams that arouse the sleeper to a near panic state. However, night terrors happen earlier in the evening and are usually not remembered, while nightmares happen closer to awakening at the end of a sleep period and are often remembered. Sleep deprivation was a factor in some of the biggest disasters in recent history: the Exxon Valdez oil spill, the nuclear meltdown at Chernobyl, and others. But sleep loss is also a safety hazard every day on the road. Drowsiness can slow reaction time as much as driving under the influence or drunk. Fatigue is a cause in 100,000 crashes and crash-related deaths in the United States. The problem is greatest among people under 25 years old. Studies show that sleep loss and poor quality sleep lead to accidents and injuries on the job. Lack of sleep hurts the cognitive processes of thinking and learning in many ways, impairing attention, alertness, concentration, reasoning, and problem solving. It is more difficult to learn if we do not get enough sleep. Sleep loss impairs judgment because we may not assess situations accurately and act on them wisely. Sleep specialists say, if you think you're doing fine on less sleep, you're probably wrong, because with sleep deprivation, we lose touch with how impaired we are. Sleep deprivation leads to serious health problems such as heart disease, heart failure, high blood pressure, stroke, and diabetes. Researchers looked at how sleep patterns affected the mortality of more than 10,000 civil servants over 2 decades, and the results show that those who cut their sleep from 7 to 5 hours or fewer a night nearly doubled their risk of death from all causes. Sleep-deprived men and women report less interest in sex, depleted energy, sleepiness, and increased tension. Over time, lack of sleep and sleep disorders contributes to the symptoms of depression. The most common sleep disorder, insomnia, has the strongest link to depression because sleep loss aggravates the symptoms of depression, and depression can make it more difficult to sleep. Most people have experienced sallow skin, puffy eyes after a few nights of missed sleep, but chronic sleep loss leads to lackluster skin, lines, and dark circles under the eyes. When you don't get enough sleep, your body releases more cortisol that breaks down skin collagen that keeps skin smooth and elastic. Sleep loss causes the body to release too little human growth hormone. When we are young, human growth hormone promotes growth, and as we age, it helps increase muscle mass, thicken skin, and strengthen bones. Slow wave sleep is when growth hormone is released. Lack of sleep is correlated to an increase in hunger and appetite. Not only does sleep loss appear to stimulate appetite, it also stimulates cravings for high-fat, high-carbohydrate foods. Those who sleep less than 6 hours a day are 30% more likely to become obese than those who sleep 7 to 9 hours. If you ever get to be the boss and determine work schedules, you should not change anyone's shift in a shorter period than 3 weeks. And then the person should always move forward from, say, 3 weeks on night shift to 3 weeks on day shift, and then 3 weeks to evening shift. This chart shows normal sleep patterns across our lifetime. You can see that in infancy you probably slept 16 out of 24 hours. So why do your parents look so tired in those photos of you as a baby? Because the infant brain is still maturing. The baby cannot remain awake for more than an hour or so. This means the baby's 16 hours of sleep are spread out in shorter increments around the clock, so that parents cannot get an uninterrupted 8 hours of sleep. While the infant sleeps, the brain is self-stimulating with REM sleep and more deep sleep than at any other time over the lifespan. Throughout the early years, children require naps during the day until elementary age, when their brain is mature enough for a child to be awake for about 12 hours at a time. You can see from the chart that a higher need for sleep continues through young adulthood. From that point on, lighter sleep tends to increase and deeper sleep to decrease until late adulthood, when we are likely to wake up more often throughout the night because we are in a lighter stage of sleep.